Right. And one man with ties to Erie decided to write a book all about them. And our Ariana Moyer today caught up with the man behind A Republic of Scoundrels.
Right, everyone. I'm here with Timothy Hemmis, the co-editor of A Republic of Scoundrels. Now, what is this book about? And can we talk about the full-length title?
All right. So this book came about, actually was birthed during COVID,
Okay.
the pandemic shutdown. And I've had this idea for a while. I was actually at the Historical Society of Pennsylvania doing research before COVID, and I
Hmm.
kept coming across these names of these individuals, James Wilkinson's, Aaron Burr, and George Morgan, and all
Yes.
these that's the one that I was actually studying, was a guy named George Morgan. But I kept coming across all these names, and it was just like something started clicking. Like there needs to be a book about these men that were on the frontier who were less than outstanding. They were essentially scoundrels, which is a kind of an archaic term.
I love the word personally.
And so it just came to the conclusion is like, I can't get to all these archives to study all these different individuals. And I
Yeah.
started looking at all these different folks. I started off with like 16 names of men that were, we would consider scoundrels today,
Yeah.
because self-interested men who were looking out for themselves, that didn't put themselves in front of the country. They were looking for financial or political reasons, and they didn't care who stood in their way. And so I reached out to a bunch of different folks. Actually, it was on Twitter then,
Hmm.
and asked if anybody was interested in this topic, and people went crazy for it. And so we started building a collaboration. Uh, David Head, my co-editor,
Yeah.
came aboard, and it's funny. We actually have never actually physically met
Really?
still. Yeah. So this was all kind of born through kind of the Zoom era.
So is this all about people who are considered traitors or less than ideal? Because I remember reading your synopsis, and I know you said that George Washington wanted someone to be crushed, and he's someone who we
Yeah.
consider one of the greats,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, in a lot of ways, we have to look at, we often think of the founding fathers as this kind of the American saints, if you will.
Yes.
But there's folks that shaped the country that were less than ideal.
Hmm.
Or the Aaron Burrs, the James Wilkinsons. James Wilkinson was at one point the highest ranking general in the army, who was also on the payroll for the Spanish as an informant.
Oh my goodness.
So Sam Watson writes about his ordeal and about James Wilkinson. You have Benedict Arnold, probably the most famous of them all. I mean, his name
Obviously, yes.
with being a traitor. So you got to have those guys in there
Yeah.
when you're talking about this kind of collaboration. And it's just what the book is set up is to have vignettes of each of these individuals, and kind of little telling the stories of what activities they did, because their failures or their scheming did help shape the country.
Right.
And that's that founding generation. And that's one of the things we challenge in a ways, is this concept of this, is it just the founding fathers? No, it's much more. It's a founding
Yeah.
generation.
So where can people buy the book? Because it was released at the beginning of this month. So if they want to grab it, where can they go?
So it is distributed by Simon and Schuster, although it's a Pegasus publication. So you can get it from the Simon and Schuster website. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can order it through there, and probably all the major bookstores.